All right, let's hit on our main topic now, which is sleepers.
I got one guy. The first guy, his Yahoo ADP is 97, and that's Jakob Pertl of the San Antonio Spurs. In 51 games as a starter last season, he averaged 9.8 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks, which is great. He shot 62.5% from the field. The downside is he did shoot 55.3% from the free throw line. As weird as it is, the Spurs are a rebuilding team. He should start, play 30 minutes a night. His ADP, again, I said, is 97. Look at some of the guys that are being drafted ahead of him. I would take him over all of these guys. Brook Lopez, 87. Andre Drummond, 89. And Mitchell Robinson, we talked about earlier, at 79. I would take Pertl over all of them.
Shannon, who is on your list?
My top sleeper that I'm targeting is Killian Hayes, Detroit Pistons, 2020 first-round pick. They selected him seventh overall last year. He got hurt just a handful of games into the season. I missed a bunch of time, didn't return until early April. But I was encouraged enough with what I saw after his return. I know that first handful of games before his injury was rough. But you're also talking about a 19-year-old rookie from overseas. There was going to be a learning curve, right? But once he returned, he played 28 minutes per game, averaged 8 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.4 steals, and almost 1 three-pointer. Free throw percentage was solid, 87%. Field goal percentage, not so much, 38%. So I expect he'll be a more confident shooter in his second season. I think we'll see some growth from him. I feel like he's being written off with where he's currently drafted. He's 145 in Yahoo, NFBKC, which they're usually higher. Sleepers and darts get drafted quite a bit earlier in that format. He's 155. So even in NFBKC, you can get him late. He is locked in as the starting point guard for the Pistons.
My first sleeper, actually I have a prop for this, is Deandre Hunter. I have a rookie card of Deandre Hunter's. ADP of 127 for Deandre Hunter. Before his injury last season, averaged 17.9 points, 5.6 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Altogether, he was the 50th best fantasy player on a per-game basis when he went down with his injury. Very easy to forget. He was the 4th overall pick in 2019 because he also had kind of an underwhelming rookie year. But last season was big in terms of he was getting to the basket. He was drawing fouls. He was doing more than just spot up 3-point shooting. He was helping them generate offense on his own. So I have really high hopes for Deandre Hunter. And I think getting him at 127 would be an absolute steal because he was clearly showed top 50 upside last season. So I would feel comfortable taking him 70, 80, and obviously you can get him even later than that. Mike, who is next on your list?
I'll go with Nikhil Alexander-Walker. His Yahoo ADP is 119. He improved in 2 key areas last season. Now, these numbers still aren't great, but the case is he showed improvement over his rookie season. He shot just under 42% from the field and just under 73% from the free throw line. His rookie season, he shot just under 37% from the field and under 68% from the free throw line. So that's pretty significant. Even in limited minutes last year, he only averaged 22 minutes a game. He still averaged 1.73 pointers, so that's good. No Lonzo Ball. Bledsoe's gone, we talked about. The Pelicans did bring in Devontae Graham, but their starting positions are open here. Alexander Walker started 13 games last year, and in those starts, he averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3.13 pointers. He had a just under 25% usage rate in that role. If he starts again, and it looks like he might, he could be a real steal at that ADP.
Shannon, who's next for you?
Daniel Gafford. It's been announced he's going to start at center for the Wizards, for Ken's Wizards. I'll take the Wizards talk for you. With Thomas Bryant still coming back from injury, you have Montrezl Harrell, who is going to get minutes, but he's been deployed as a backup for so long. I think the Wizards, even though he's a newly acquired player, I believe the Wizards will be comfortable bringing Harrell off the bench long term. I just think Gafford's going to be productive enough with Brian out for the first month or two of the season that he'll stick in that role long term. And it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play 35 minutes a game, but he's a guy who we saw it last year. If he's given 25 to 30 minutes, he can put up very productive lines. He can get you lots of blocks. I mean, this is a guy who could average 10, 7, and 2 blocks in just 27 minutes per game. So I like him. He's currently going in the 110 range for Yahoo. Similar range for best ball drafts that I've been doing as well on sites like Underdog and DraftKings. But people are reaching on him. He's going higher and higher. His ADP in those best ball leagues have jumped from like 140 a couple weeks ago to, I see him drafted. I think I've seen him drafted as high as 90 in recent drafts.
Okay. My next guy, very familiar name, someone that I frequently take with my last pick, Will Barton, the poor man's Cade Cunningham. He's he's being drafted in the 140s on Yahoo. This is mostly just Jamal Murray's injury. I think Will Barton takes on increased usage. Michael Porter Jr.'s potential for injury also pretty high. We all know about his medical situation. So if he ends up out as well, Will Barton becomes like the second best player on that team, or at least the second most talented scorer on that team. Finally, Barton, he's been a top 100 player 3 times in his career already. Topped out at 53rd 4 years ago. Now that was 4 years ago, and Barton himself has injury problems, but 143 is far too late in drafts for someone that is going to probably see 30 minutes a game. It could easily average like 15, 4, and 4. Mike, who's next for you?
Larry Nance Jr., now of the Portland Trailblazers. His Yahoo ADP is 133. Now, that is never going to hold up. If it does, I'd be shocked. Right now, guys that are being drafted ahead of him, I hope everybody who's listening to this, if you're not sitting down, sit down. DeMarcus Cousins, 131, and DeAndre Jordan at 132. Have you looked at the Blazers bench? It is awful. He's going to play center, power forward, some small forward probably. If anybody gets hurt, and we know Nurkic has had an injury history, Cody Zeller, who they also brought in, he's had an injury history. I mean, Nance could play 30 minutes a night. He did have problems with his efficiency last year. He shot 47% from the field, but he had shot at least 52% in every previous season of his career. He's averaged at least 1.3 steals in 4 of the last 5 seasons, so he can help you out defensively as well. If you are lucky enough to get him that late in the draft, give yourself a high five and a pat in the back because you'll blow past that ADP.
Shannon, who is next on your list?
Jaden McDaniels, Minnesota forward. There's a good chance he starts at the 4. He got some starts there last season. He's going in around pick 135 on Yahoo. There's just not a lot of competition for minutes. Jared Vanderbilt, Taurean Prince, Naz Reid, but Reid's a better fit at the 5. I don't see them playing Reid and Cat together very often. We could see something where maybe they go small and slide Edwards up to the 4 and Beasley to the 3. That would be, or go with Taurean Prince at the 4 instead of McDaniels. I think McDaniels showed enough last year. He's got the ability to rack up some defensive stats. It's not going to be mind-blowing numbers, but there's going to be decent production for late in your draft and likely a lot of minutes. And I will say James Anderson's really high on the guy. And when James Anderson's high on a guy who's getting drafted late, I think it's worth your while to put him on your cheat sheet.
Okay, my last guy that I have on here, you guys you're going to end up covering a lot of good guys who I also agree with, but Pascal Siakem, I know he's a little too big of a name for this to some extent, but his ADP on Yahoo is 68, which I think is just far too low. We have him, so now he's recovering from shoulder surgery, but we have him projected, or they've said that he will come back in early November. And as a result, we have him projected to miss 19 games, but he still comes out ranked as the 32nd player in our projections. And I just don't think you could I don't think you can let him slip past 75. The kind of guys you'd be getting at that point in the draft anyway. Siakam can easily return top 30 value and healthy. The Raptors are as bad as ever. Their roster is very bare. They're going to play Svi Mykhailiuk like 26 minutes a game. So I just think you can't let him slip as far as 68, which is where his ADP is. Mike, who is next on your list?
Reggie Jackson of the Clippers. His Yahoo ADP is 134. Another guy who I don't think his ADP will hold up as the season gets closer. After Kawhi went down in the playoffs last year, Jackson averaged 38 minutes a game. And during that stretch, he averaged 21.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 1.6 steals, and 3 3-pointers. I mean, that's just insane. Now, there's no way he's going to play 38 minutes a game during the regular season, but he should be able to see 30 minutes a night. Still no Kawhi, who's going to be out for probably most of the season. He should have plenty of scoring opportunities. He can also help you with assists. Prior to last year, he had averaged at least 4.1 assists in each of the previous 7 seasons. So that late in the draft, if you get someone that impactful, jump on it.
Who's next for you, Shannon?
Okay, I'll just throw out 2 big men who I see going late in drafts. James Wiseman, pick 135 on Yahoo. I want to double check NFBKC as well. 149 in NFBKC. I've picked him a lot in like the 160 range in best ball leagues. And then Dwight Powell. It was announced that he's probably going to be the starting center for the Mavericks. I'm not high on Dwight Powell, and there's a very good chance he starts and plays 15, 16 minutes per game, and we see the exact same production as last year. But he's a guy.
Try RotoWire today, free for 10 days. Get our premium tools, rankings, analysis, and breaking news alerts. No credit card required. Go to rotowire.com/try.